All right, I'm back, everybody. I am with my story continued. Apparently my phone overheated, and so I tried to go to the car thinking that would help, and it was still overheating because of the sun on the window. So I am back here at the office. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where I left off, but I know I was talking about my restaurant that I had downtown. And so obviously I ended up, I think I was talking about how I went over to, look for it, and it was available. I shook hands with the guy. He did the deal with me. And so, next thing I know, I had my restaurant, and little did I know exactly what it takes to do a restaurant. You hear over and over, don't do a restaurant, that's hard work. It's extremely tough. Everybody fails, blah, 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 blah. And here's the thing, if you feel like there's something out there that you want to do, best advice I can give you is quit listening to other people. The advice you're going to get from everybody, including your loved ones, they're going to tell you don't do it. They're going to tell you the reasons that you're already familiar with why not to do it. And one thing I always liked that my dad always said is that businesses don't fail, people do. And nothing's more true than that. Businesses don't fail, people do. Even in the restaurant business where you see so many of them completely failing, falling on their face, that's what it was. But I didn't buy a restaurant, right? I bought a building. And half of it was borderline dilapidated. I mean, it was gone. I ended up having to work with contractors and architects and everybody under the sun. And so not only did I have to, not only was I trying to open a restaurant, I had to build a restaurant. And, it was like basically building it from the ground up, only it was actually a little more difficult because we kept one building and we tore the other one down, and we had a large opening and opened between them. So, I could go on forever about the battles that I went through with that restaurant on getting it, built, on getting it open, getting a liquor license, and even keeping it open. Battles with the city, battles with the neighbors, battles with everyone, battles. And then even when you're running it, the battles that you continually face. You're constantly having to learn new things and do them. And I made sure that I knew how to cook my whole menu and run the kitchen because I never wanted to be held hostage by any cook in my kitchen or anybody in my business, period. If for some reason I had an employee that didn't want to do something and they said, well, either you do this or I'm leaving, I wanted to make sure I knew how to do what they do. So if they want to leave, adios. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I can cook that meal and you can head out the door if you don't like what's going on. And, I don't know. There was a lot to learn. I think there was a lot of things that I could have done better. Absolutely. I think it was a very growing experience, to say the minimum. But I kept that restaurant open for over 10 years. And I think finally at that point, my fiance was interested in living, somewhere closer to the ocean and the beach. And she would constantly say this to me. And she's got the pictures all over, everywhere we're at, of the ocean and the beach and, beach life and the fact that you only live once, so make the most of it. And, I tell you what, those seeds were planted and they took root and they started growing in me. And I'm thinking, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. Let's try that out. And so I said, well, first thing we got to do is we got to sell the business, And so we went ahead and I tried selling it. I think I had a friend of the family that was an attorney draw up contracts with a guy, and he didn't have a lot of money to get going, but he had 3 other restaurants, so I felt pretty comfortable that this guy was going to be able to do it. And so we moved out to California. And next thing I know, I went out to California to open a insurance agency. I've got a sister out in California that is a very successful insurance agent. So it doesn't sound like a really fun, jazzy thing. But again, I'm always looking at things from an entrepreneur's point of view, which is, well, here you go. You're the owner of your own business. No one's telling you what to do. It's better than a restaurant. I don't have all these people, knocking down my door. I'm not fighting with the city or the neighbors or anything else. And, these agents that do well, they can make a killing. So you can have a really good life. And so from that aspect, it sounded great. I was all in. Well, it went sour real quick when all of a sudden the guy that I sold the business to stopped making the payments. And I was just trying to start the agency. So I didn't have a lot of money at the time to pay the bills. So here we are in California, and I've got bills to pay, and I've got this guy that's supposed to be paying a $6,000+ monthly note that he decides to stop paying it. I kept this business afloat for 10 years, and I think I got maybe 2 payments out of this guy before he stopped paying. And that was pushing it. And that was only after making a bunch of phone calls like, hey, are you gonna pay the rent this month? What's going on? And so at that point, I was losing it. I'm like, I gotta do something. I gotta do something quick. This isn't gonna work. So I went ahead and I said, 80/60 insurance agency, I can't do that. I'm not gonna have time. Not to mention I couldn't figure out how to go ahead and, I had to learn the business and find out how to get customers like in no time at all. And I just didn't have that. I didn't know. I was just under way too much stress. And so I didn't make it any easier. I thought I was going to make it easier on myself. I thought I was going to solve the problem and go get this other job. So I ended up getting a job where it's essentially going door to door, but they actually schedule the appointments for you, and you're, selling them this paint coating. It's not paint, but it's a coating that you put on their home for stucco homes. Right? And, it was just, at this point, it was one of these advertisements you see where it's like, hey, make $15,000 a month. I was like, oh, this is great. This is what I need because I am in the hole and I could use $15,000 a month. And I found out very quick that a lot of those ads that are promising $15,000 a month means you're probably going in the hole $15,000 a month. But again, it was an experience for me, and I did actually make some sales, but it was a tough one because you're literally 90% of the people I was meeting, they wanted nothing to do with me. These people that were making the appointments, they were not making good appointments. They were literally, I can't even imagine that a lot of these people said yes to these appointments. I'm opening the door and these people are like, who are you? Why are you here? What? And my job was to get in their living room, go over this product I can offer, and they end up signing the contract there at that. And I'm sure there's people out there that do that are very successful, but man, talk about a stress sandwich, And again, I thought this from an entrepreneur standpoint sounded great. I'm working for myself. You have an opportunity to make money. There were people that had been doing this for a while that had mastered it, and we're making some money doing it, but far and away the majority they were not, and you really had to learn very quickly how to talk to people and get comfortable with people and get out. Again, you're way outside of your comfort zone. I was way outside of my comfort zone in doing this, but it was, again, I think it was good for me to do because I think you should continually be challenging yourself. So then I decided to get my real estate license in California, thinking, these homes are like $500,000. And we met this guy at the time that had his own real estate company where he provides all the appointments for you, and you just literally are going out meeting the people. And these are real appointments. These aren't like the fake appointments. These are real appointments. And, a lot of his people were doing very well. And you know what? I'm not going to say anything negative about this guy other than the fact that we just did not see eye to eye. We just, he, I think, ran his business a lot like I saw a lot of him and how I ran my restaurant, which if I was to do it again today, I think I'd do it very differently. But, I ran through a lot of people in my restaurant because if you weren't, really doing a great job and tip top and this and that, it's like hit the door and bring the next one in and see how they do, And that's just not the right way in my mind really to work with people. I think if they're not doing the job, you keep sitting down with them, you keep working with them, and you never give, as long as they don't give up on you, you don't give up on them. And because I saw early on, I had one employee in mind in particular that I really wanted it to work out for her. Her sister had worked for me, and I thought that she would do a great job. But she had a really hard time at the beginning. And man, I tell you, everybody under the sun at one point was saying, come on, Brian, what are you doing? This girl's got to go. She's just a train wreck. And about 3-4 months later, finally, it clicked in her head. And she was just an unbelievable rock star, and she could take 10 people's orders and not write a single thing down and get it all done right, and was just doing a great job. People loved coming out to see her and talk with her, and I just think that was further proof that, you know, if your employee isn't doing what you want them to do at that point in time, it doesn't mean that that's not the right person. You know, you as an employer need to take responsibility and just continue to work with that person. So anyways, again, also, I'm an entrepreneur, and I do not, you know, a lot of the things that I've sought in my life have been, you know, I want to do my own thing. I'm not interested. I do not gel well with taking orders from other people. That is not what I'm about. And so, you know, me and this other guy were probably just maybe too similar, and we hit heads. It didn't work out. So I went through all these hoops to get my California real estate license, and here I am. You know, I'm already in a dire situation, and here I am with, you know, basically I'm not working with this real estate company. So now it's like, what am I going to do? Because all my concerns with every other real estate company out there is, you know, if you don't have the appointments made for you, it's like, how are you getting them? It's very tough, especially in California where you've got so many agents. But I went ahead and I gave it a go. I joined with Keller Williams, and it was a very short-lived thing. I did not try very hard. I went out there. I was, again, very confused. They're throwing a lot of new stuff at you. You know, the account's dwindling down. I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I'm like, this is it. This is not going to work. And so at that point, I said, hey, Andrea, are you set on California, or do you want to go somewhere else? And that was where she was like, you know what? I'd really like to maybe try Myrtle Beach. And I said, well, this is the time to do it. So I went ahead and I actually went out and I got my over-the-road truck driving license. So, you know, again, there's not too many things I haven't done in my life. So I went through the classes, you know, getting in these giant rigs and backing them up and you know, spin them around in circles and you name it, you know, and I'm like just thinking, what in the heck am I doing in here? But the test, it was very, you know, I mean, it was definitely scary at first. I mean, they had my full attention because I did not want to mess up being in one of these things. Either, you know, I'm going to be a goner, or it's very easy to hurt somebody else when you're behind the wheel in one of these giant trucks. So, but I went through all the tests, I passed them, and next thing you know, they pair me up with a mentor, and I am in a truck with this guy for like 30 days, driving all over the country. And I gotta tell you, that first, this guy was a great guy. I could not have got a better mentor. And I think some people, unfortunately, when they start driving trucks, the person that they drive with, they don't care. And it's too bad, because when you first start driving a truck, it's probably one of the scariest things you're gonna do. You know, this guy was, thank God, he drove out of the city and before he turned the truck over to me, you know, parked it at a gas station and said, okay, let's go. And he knew I had a straight road to drive for a while and I didn't have much to do. And even with that, I think I was probably ghost pale white. Just, you know, you're like 20 feet up in the air, way above everybody else, you know, this huge truck. And, you know, you want to make sure you have plenty of distance between you and the other guy. So, you know, you're not killing yourself, the guy next to you, or anybody in front or behind you, you know, and you've got these little cars veering in and out, you know, it's crazy. But, so I did that for about a month, and then I moved the family here to Myrtle Beach, and then it was my turn to go out on my own. And that was definitely a eye-awakening experience, you know, so I'm out there by myself in a semi, and now there's no one else looking out for me, looking over my shoulder, saying, hey, slow down, hey, watch that curve, hey, watch this, watch that. It's 100% on me. So again, now I'm back in the ghost pale, you know, part, just like, oh my God, what am I doing, you know? How did I get here? I'm behind this giant semi, and I'm by myself. And, you know, sleeping at truck stops and showering at the truck stops. And, you know, I was like, what? You know, this is not where I want to be. I want to be with my family, you know? And so my job at that point was figure out a way to make a living and be with your family. So I ended up, we're in Myrtle Beach at this point in time, and I ended up buying a bread route. So again, entrepreneur, I want to work for myself, right? I don't want to have to answer to anybody else. So I'm thinking, hey, bread route, I'm going to be my own boss. I'm not going to be answering anybody else. Wrong. I had to answer to everybody. And, I found out quickly just how hard you work on these bread routes. You're working 7 days a week, 5 days a week that I'm delivering the bread. I'm getting up at 3:30 in the morning, right? I'm at the depot by 4 a.m., working typically till 1 or 2 in the afternoon, if not 3 or later. And during the summertime here in Myrtle Beach, I'm sitting there sorting out hundreds of different pieces of bread in the back of a super hot bread truck. This is Andrea, my fiance.
Good seeing him going.
Okay, love you. So anyways, I am I'm dying in the back of this bread truck, and I have no idea. Again, hey Brian, how in the world did you get yourself here? But I'm figuring out, doing whatever I have to do, and it's paying the bills, and at least I get to stay with the family. So I is one step closer than where I was with my truck. And so then next thing I know, I'm like, okay, this is not for me. I gotta get out of this. I gotta find something else. So I decided I would go into real estate here in Myrtle Beach. So I went ahead and while driving the truck, got my real estate license, and I ended up selling my own bread route. So luckily enough, I sold my own bread route, made some money. And there was some other guys there, believe it or not, in the bread route company that wanted to sell their route as well. And so I helped the guy sell his route and made money. And these brokers are making $10,000, $12,000 a deal. So I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I'm going to make money on this. I'm going to work on it. So I helped the guy sell his bread route, and I made $10,000. And then here I am in real estate again they throw all this stuff at you. You don't know what you got everybody pointing in like 20 different directions of what you're supposed to do. And I'm just like, but no one's really laying it out for you. And then at the end of the day, I go and I get some listings, and, you're making like, on a $200,000 house, by the time everything gets chopped up and you get the check, you're making like $1,500, right? Well, $1,500 is great. If you're making $1,500 a week, that's awesome, But no, that $1,500, that took me about 3 to 6 months of work, hundreds of phone calls, and one of the homes that I worked on, it was like 30 minutes away. So I'm driving back and forth all over the place just to try to get this one deal done. And I'm thinking, man, what in the world am I doing? I should have stuck with selling businesses, And so then it was then. After that I finally found the forex, and I met Arnold Thompson, who basically has been very successful with the forex. And so I was like, this is great. I'm working for myself. I'm not taking orders from anybody. You're getting paid right away. The better you do, the bigger the account you get, the more money you're going to be making. Once you understand the law of compounding, you realize that if you can continually grow your account, and you're taking a certain percentage of that every month. So let's just imagine you're taking 10% of $20,000. That's $2,000. You can make 10% a week. You can make 10% every 2 weeks. You can make, even if you just made 10% a month, you just made $2,000. If you make 10% every 2 weeks, so if you're making 5% a week, right, and you do that every week, then you just made 20% that month. So off of $20,000, you just gave yourself a $4,000 salary. And, I'm not sitting there making 500 phone calls or doing any of this other stuff. And I thought, man, and on top of that, every trade, I'm actually typically risking 3%. So every single trade, I can make 3%. So I literally only need to win 2 trades in a week. And I made more than my 5%. I made 6%. And so if you do that, if you do nothing more than but just take 2 trades that you make 6% on every week, right? and you have a $20,000 account, you just made over $4,000 a month, which is more than enough to live on. You're making over $1,000 a week, but on top of that, you're continuing to put money in your account. Your account's continuing to grow. So every month it gets better. So even if you don't have $20,000 to start with, or, starting with 10,000 or 5,000 or even 1,000, if you understand the plan and you stick with it, it grows significantly. So, but that's it. That's kind of my story, what's led me here. And I'm sure that, if you think about all these things that I've done, you're probably like, my God, this guy has been all over the place. And it's true, I have, and that's why I probably even hesitate in telling this story, because they're going to think, man, the guy is all over the place. But the reality of it is, really, ever since I was a 12-year-old, going down, getting that paper route, I've been an entrepreneur, and that's what it is. And that's what really I think I'm going to look at working with. Anybody out there that sees himself as an entrepreneur as well, that's looking for an entrepreneurial business, that's where I think I'm at. I think I've been doing that my whole life, and I finally got to here, and I love it. I think, this is it. For the next 30, 40, 50 years, it's going to be right here, because at the end of the day, I found the things that I was looking for in this opportunity that I've been looking for through my whole life. I don't have the guy breathing down my neck, telling me, hey, which I didn't even get into all the bread route specifics, but oh man, I was getting yelled at coming and going by all the, if I would have like 10 bread accounts, and if you went to one bread account first, they love you because you're getting them their items first, and you can pick all the great bread off the truck. Well, by the time you get to number 10, you got like 5 items on the truck, and you're late in the day, and the bread owner's like, what the heck, So anyways, I guess the point is that, there are a lot of people out there that work for themselves, but they don't really work for themselves. As a restaurant owner, I wanted to work for myself. Guess what? I didn't work for myself. I worked for every customer in that place. I worked for every single one of my employees in that place. The city that I had the restaurant in quickly made me aware that I may have been the owner, but they were the boss, and you've got, all these other jealous owners to the left and the right of you that are always trying to, trip you and try to take your business back, because that's how they feel getting ahead, is that there's only X amount of business in there, and if I put this guy on his face, that I'll make more money over here. And it's just sad, but there's stuff like that goes on out there. So again, my point is I think I've just been an entrepreneur my whole life, and I finally got into this place here where I am trading the forex, and I like the fact that there's this aspect to it as well, where I have an opportunity to grow a team. Because if I didn't have an opportunity to grow a team, I'm going to tell you right now, I wouldn't be reaching out to you, and I wouldn't be having these conversations. And I think that doing this is really good, because anytime you can challenge yourself to get outside of your comfort zone, to make yourself a little uncomfortable and grow, a new angle business. What was your new angle business? See, Justine, I apologize. I can't see a lot of these comments. I'm just too far away. But so anyways, there are a lot of people out there that are looking for similar things like I have looked for my whole life. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people like yourself that are looking for experiences where you get the opportunity of being your own boss, and you get the opportunity to grow a team if that's what you're looking for, and you get the opportunity to watch your money compound and continually grow, and at the end of the day, then you're taking home more money and more money. And really it just comes down to, at the end of the day, it's not about the money, it's about what the money can provide you. So for me, here I got my lazy dogs laying on the couch, I get an opportunity to take my little girl to school every day, and I get an opportunity to spend time with my family. I'm working really hard on having good habits, but if I want to sleep in, I can sleep in. I don't have anybody sitting there telling me, hey, you're late for work, get over here. So anyways, that's enough. Literally, this is probably my longest live I've ever done. And but that's it. That's my story. So now you know a little bit more about me. So again, everybody, have a great day, and thanks for taking the time to listen. Take care. Bye. Bye, Kathy, and bye, Justine. Thank you for watching.